and welcome back. It's your girl, Yummy.com. Thank you for joining me once again. We have another Tipsy movie review, and I am recording this the day this movie came out, but I'm not putting it up until Black History Month because I feel like it's such an important movie. I'm doing a couple of Black History movie reviews, so there might be more videos in February than usual, just because I feel like there's a lot of movies that are coming out that are really good and will be impactful for the Black experience, and I feel like I should share that with you. So, with that being said, we're starting off with our first one, and the movie we are talking about is the Amazon Prime du jour, One Night in Miami. Now, One Night in Miami, ellipses, is directed by Regina. Automatically has my respect because it was directed not just by a woman, not just by a woman in the industry, but a Black woman in the industry. We love it, and she's a legend and an icon. We all know.
She's got a weak heart. She got a weak head. The Holy Ghost must have softened your brain, child. Did she forget that that was Frank's grandchild she was cursing? I
love when things are directed by actors because there's just something more authentic about the acting, because I think they just know. Well, I mean, it's not to say if you're not an actor you won't direct well, but like when an actor is directing and they're a good director, they just make something more authentic. The dialogue is usually a lot better because they're just like used to doing dialogue, and so they know when dialogue is corny, so they want dialogue that feels authentic. And you know, that's a big thing for me: depth, dialogue, dimensions, just layers. I love that stuff, so it was right up my alley. I'm gonna tell you what the story is about. It is the story of one night in Miami, and is the night that Muhammad Ali has beat Sonny Liston and become the heavyweight champion of the world, effectively becoming an icon and catapulting himself into Black history for more than one reason. It tells the story of Sam Cooke, a famous Black singer, Jim Brown, a famous NFL player, Muhammad Ali, aka Cassius Clay, the heavyweight champion, and the kind of one that connects them all is Malcolm X. Of course, we know Malcolm X as one of the few people we learned about during Black History Month in school, and a civil rights activist and leader. So the thing about Malcolm X is that when they taught me about Malcolm X in school, and of course we're learning the white man's education, no offense, no offense, I don't care. We're learning the white man's education. So the way they always explain the difference between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King to me is that Malcolm X was violent and Martin Luther King wasn't. But they both were murdered either way. So it, like, all that tells me is like, you didn't need to be violent, you just had to be Black. But when I watch this, it explains it in such a better way than he was just violent. Like, he was just like, ah. Obviously, he was more of an elevated spirit and was fine using violence, but it wasn't necessarily that he preferred using violence. It was by any means necessary.
By what means?
By any means necessary.
By what means?
By any means necessary.
By what means?
By any means necessary.
Shout out to the hate you give. And so that's really what that kind of taught me more so in this, and I really appreciated it. All of these men are dead. God forbid. I swear to God, Jim Brown, do not be dead by the time this goes up. Jim Brown is actually still alive. I've actually gotten a chance to pseudo kind of work with him through work because I work at a sports company. Anyways, so Jim Brown is the only one who's still alive, and effectively I think that would I think that's one of the only ways that this could have been told properly. I feel like if there wasn't so much reference to pull from Malcolm X's autobiography, Jim Brown actually being alive and being able to get that knowledge from him, there wouldn't be a way to tell this authentic story of people who were, it's weird, you know? My Tipsy reviews are usually really sporadic and like crazy, but I think I'm going to break it down into categories so that you can understand why I appreciate this movie so much. I was going to let you know this right now. I usually don't talk about things I don't like. I love this movie. I love it in the most subtle way that I think I'm going to like Marie and Malcolm, starring Zendaya, and then the guy from Black Klansman. I think I'm going to like that too, but I think I'm going to like this in the same similar subtle way because effectively, again, there's so many things. Okay, let's start with the casting. The casting in this is impeccable. I don't know the person who is playing Muhammad Ali, and I don't know the person who is playing Malcolm X too well. I'm not too familiar with them, or maybe I would be if I saw them outside of like the way they look. But it's just like they look so much like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali. It was kind of scary to me. Like I was like, oh my god, it's a time travel. Whoever did the costuming, kudos to you. All the characters looked like the person they are portraying.
If I have a son, I'll teach him to be brave. 'Cause if I have a son, he's never really safe. And when you run to the corner store for a snack, I wanna know that you'll make it back home. Oh, your skin, it glitters like gold. There's love inside of your soul. But no matter what you say, no matter what you do, this world will never be as friendly to you. I wanna keep you close, I wanna keep you safe. I hope I see the day where I don't have to pray every time you go.
But the casting that I can speak to is the casting of Aldous Hodge as Jim Brown and Leslie Odom Jr. as Sam Cooke. Okay, let's start with Aldous Hodge. Aldous Hodge is a phenomenal actor. He is amazing in everything he does. He is on my husband list this year because he is so good in everything he does. And like at first he was just kind of this like goofy guy on Leverage.
Chicago, where you drank 17 tiny margaritas, you took your pants off, you stood up on the drink cart, and you sang, quote, "I'm a sexy monkey."
But he has made his name nowadays into playing some of the most influential and like not influential real people, but just influential and meaningful roles. He was in Clemency, which was this whole thing about examining the lives of people on death row, both the people who have to take their lives and the people who have to see their lives pass by and like get that last meal. And it was such a powerful role, and he played it amazingly. He played in another movie where he also was in jail playing an inmate. But it was a football player who was wrongfully jailed. So I guess he's experienced playing football players. Anyways, so he played that role really beautifully. I watch everything he's in. He's just excellent. He's just an excellent actor, and his portrayal of Jim Brown was so good because like Jim Brown, like I think it's easy to be like, oh, Muhammad Ali was so charismatic because Muhammad Ali was so outwardly charismatic. Jim Brown was more like, charismatic. Like, okay, I see it. I see charisma. I see it. Chill, dude, cool. Would get all the ladies. Jim Brown was very much a ladies' man. That's another thing. All these men who are in, like, not the actors, but the people who are portraying them. Not the people who were portraying them, but the real men. I mean, maybe not Malcolm X, but the rest of them definitely were philanderers. No, there's some philandering Negroes. Love them, but couldn't keep it in their pants to save their lives, as most men in that era couldn't. But that's besides the point. Aldous Hodge played that role perfectly. He had the right amount of charisma, not so much that it outshined Muhammad Ali, because obviously Muhammad Ali was the showman of the group.
Sam Cooke, he's too pretty. He's too pretty. We both pretty. That's Sam Cooke.
But just enough to like make it make sense that these are the people who are all together, that how they are all connected and how they are all friends, because they're such distinctive personality. And especially like Sam Cooke and Malcolm X, they're so different that like it you have to have some way to bridge them. And it was obvious that Muhammad Ali wasn't going to be the bridge because he's the showman, so you have Jim Brown who plays that bridge.
And I'll be damned if I ever forget what they really think of me.
Well, I have no doubt that you won't, Jimmy.
And the thing that I love about Sam is that he doesn't forget either. And he does not deserve you implying otherwise.
No, I'm not implying. I'm Jimmy, I am implying that brothers like Sam and you and Cassius, you all are our greatest weapons.
Not anyone's weapons, Malcolm. Oh, you ain't lying.
Oh, so you agree with him?
Look, man, I'm always in the hot seat, all right? But as long as I keep winning, ain't one fucking thing any racist poop butt can do about it.
That's right.
Well, if it's such a good idea, why don't you become a Muslim too?
Shit. Have you tasted my grandmother's pork chops? And I like white women, too. Fuck that.
Oh, you'll see the light soon enough, Jimmy.
I don't need to hang around you. Ain't you ever heard of guilt by association?
You don't think the FBI's probably starting to follow him around, too?
Oh, man, now you gonna fucking jinx me. Y'all pulled out the knives. And if I get cut, I'm fitting to hurt somebody.
It's like the two extremes and the man in the middle who understands both sides, which I really appreciate. Aldous Hodge plays it beautifully. It's amazing. We're moving on to the role of Sam Cooke. Leslie Odom Jr. I have loved this man since Hamilton, which wasn't long ago. He's has a beautiful voice, and I'm so excited that they let him sing. Obviously, he was gonna sing. Like, I feel like it would have been a wasted opportunity to have Leslie Odom Jr. not sing the iconic Sam Cooke song.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come.
But it's just amazing the way that he plays it. It is so reminiscent of how he also plays Aaron Burr. And it's the small minutia things that he does with his face that like have this elevated anger or like such complex emotions.
Hamilton doesn't hesitate. He exhibits no restraint. He takes and he takes and he takes and he keeps winning anyway. Oh, a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
It's the same like how when you watch Hamilton and you see him and you're like, you see his face and his voice and his performance like and wait for it, and it's like you're like he's like almost awestruck, but like he's angry and jealous, but he's also almost awestruck and inspired. And it's the same thing here with when he's going up against Malcolm X.
Hell, I'm not. I got the masters to my songs. I started a label. I'm producing tons of black artists. Don't you think my determining my creative and business destiny is every bit as inspiring to people as you standing up on a podium trying to piss them off? Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. That's all you do.
It's the same like the same palpitation and feel of emotion that you can get. The person who played Muhammad Ali played it perfectly. Just the right amount of annoying.
Well, Jim's quitting football to become a movie star, y'all.
What the fuck?
Sorry, man, I had to do something to liven the mood.
Like, Muhammad Ali was so annoying, but you had to love him because A, he was a winner, and B, he was an entertainer. He was a showman. And the guy who played Muhammad Ali was he played it up perfectly. And the person who played Malcolm X brought so much depth to the character. Like, again, it's this quiet, silent, thought-provoking part of Malcolm X. Because when we learn about him in school, a lot of the times it feels like we're just learning about a warmongering man who, like, violence, but that's not who he was. He was thought-provoking and had opinions and views, and you see just the grayscale of blackness of that time and how it was perceived, how other people were perceived, and it just was beautiful the way that they did it. So that's what I'm going to say about casting. This plot takes place in Miami, my least favorite place. No offense, Florida, you suck. Not the people, the place. And it is basically, again, like I said, it's the night that Muhammad Ali has beat Sonny Liston. But that is kind of the setup, that's the one night. The setup for the plot is so smart. It's so beautifully opened. Basically, it takes us through our 4 main characters, and it takes us through a very low point in their career, like a very low point in their career. For Sam Cooke, it's him failing at the Copa.
Boy, you really did bomb tonight, Sam.
Motherfucker, have you ever made $250,000 singing?
Sam, no.
Well, I have. So until you do, keep your fucking mouth shut.
Which is like the white man's club that he really wanted to play at. For Jim Brown, it's like him. I'll save Jim Brown for last because that one shooketh me. For Muhammad Ali, it's him in this fight and him almost losing. I mean, I guess that's like the best you can do with Muhammad Ali, him almost losing a fight.
Rumble, young man, rumble. Oh!
For Malcolm X, it's him coming to this, having this, for lack of a better term, come to Jesus or come to Muhammad moment where he's like seeing the Nation of Islam and seeing that this isn't the thing that he thought it was and wanting to change it, but realizing that he doesn't have the means or the strength or the power to.
What are we gonna do now? The nation owns this house, the car, everything we have. The second they learn about your plan...
I'm hoping our friendship will keep Brother Lewis from sharing our plans with anyone else.
You can't count on that.
So essentially being powerless, which is like a common theme in the beginning, and which is a common theme throughout the whole movie. And then for Jim Brown, it's like this, basically everybody gets this backhanded moment. And for Jim Brown, it's like, that's the one that hit me the most because the guy was like, he was sitting on the porch of this man who wanted to come see him and like thank him for being amazing and this amazing quarterback and all this other stuff. And like the guy's like, oh, the guy's daughter comes out and she's like, oh, can you grandpa or dad, can you move this thing for me, the white guy? And the white guy's like, yeah, okay. And Jim Brown is like basically like, oh, hey, do you like, thanks for like watching out for me.
Jim Brown is...
Jim Brown? Oh, God, from the NFL. Grandpa, Jim Brown from the NFL is here.
Well, actually, it was 1,863.
No, that's more like it.
Mm-hmm.
That record is going to stand the test of time to let you know. If there's ever anything I can do for you, you should never hesitate to reach out.
That's mighty kind of you, sir.
No, our families go way back. Been looking after one another since the first folks settled on this island.
Like, he said some off-color things at the beginning, like during the thing, but I was like, all right, okay, this guy's like really trying to support him. Like, but I saw the theme of the beginning, so I was like, well, how's this gonna go wrong? I wonder how. And literally the guy was like, when Jim Brown was like, oh, let me help you move something in your house, you look mad old, dude. And literally the guy was like,
so considerate of you, Jimmy, but you know we don't allow niggas in the house, so it's quite all right. It really is wonderful to see you, son. You keep up the good work. You was all proud.
Jim Brown was just like, and I was like, that point I stopped and I threw something. Cause I was like, if this was, and that's the thing, like if this was 2020, I would have socked a dude. I'm not even Jim Brown famous, and if some dude, after I asked him for help, and he was like, oh, I support you and all this other stuff, decided to look at me and be like, oh, you can't come into my house, you're a nigger, I would burn that house to the ground, which is bad because that's kind of how the movie ends, spoiler alert. But anyways, so you have that set up in the beginning, and then you have the fight, obviously. You see these men. I thought it was going to be something where they didn't know each other, and then they linked up for the first time, and that's like, oh, it happened in one night kind of a vibe, you know? But it's really like they're all friends, they all knew each other, and they went up, they wanted to celebrate Muhammad's, Cassius's win, and they thought they were going to party, and Jim Brown has this beautiful line, Aldous Hodge delivers it beautifully, where he's like, I'm just gonna put the clip here.
But I wanted some pussy.
I could live for the rest of my life with Aldous Hodge saying the word on repeat. It's so funny to me. I don't know why, but it's so funny. Anyways, basically, Malcolm X is like, hey, yeah, we're not partying. We're not drinking. There's no girls. There's no women. We're just gonna reflect and, you know, see why we're great. And they're like, what? What is going on? Do you at least have food? And the man's like, no, all I got is ice cream.
But what flavor is it?
Well, we have vanilla Jimmy and vanilla.
Shit. How's that for irony?
So immediately it's like, you suck. With that being said, it takes us through the events of the night. There's a lot of things that happen in this one night, but the main points that I would really like to bring up is that there is a beautiful juxtaposition between the complex conversations that they're having on race to all degrees. They talk about colorism.
I always find it kind of funny how you light-skinned cats end up being so damn militant.
What do you mean?
Well, you are yellow as the sun. When I think about who the most outspoken, consequences be damned brothers out there are, it's all you light-skinned boys. You know, you, W.E.B. Du Bois, Adam Clayton Powell.
Well, I never pay any attention to complexions, Jimmy, because we are all black people.
Don't suddenly talk to me like I'm stupid. You know we are all far from the same. When the white folks ain't around, you see the light-skinned girls gather together in one corner, all the dark-skinned girls gather in the other.
They talk about business infrastructure for the black man, especially when you get the idea of there's always the common argument of like the hound dog scenario of like, oh, Big Mama made hound dogs, but Elvis was the one who got the credit for it and is the one remembered for it. But then Sam Cooke makes this argument that is so genius and I've never seen anyone make. It's like,
is it helpful for black people to run their businesses different than everyone else's? Dumber than everyone else's?
No. No one's accused you of making bad business decisions, Sam.
You might as well have. You think I don't know about the British invasion? I invested in the British invasion. I have these proteges. Valentino's, 5 Womack brothers. The youngest one, Bobby, wrote this song, It's All Over Now. Great tune. The band records it, it's fantastic. All over the R&B charts. It even went to number 94 on Billboard's Hot 100. Then I get a call from England. One of these British bands wants to record a cover version.
The Beatles?
Nah, Cash, they call themselves the Rolling Stones.
I like the Muddy Water song.
Exactly. So Bobby's like, no damn way, man, that's our song, man. But I get the final say, and I'm looking at the big picture. And I give the Rolling Stones permission to record it.
You did?
I did. And the Rolling Stones version of the song goes all the way to number 1. Not on the R&B charts, pop charts. But of course, once this version of the song gets big, Bobby's version just disappears. It falls off the R&B charts, it's just gone. So of course, Bobby's crushed.
Yes, as well he should be, Sam.
Let me finish. He's crushed for about 6 months. Because 6 months later, that first royalty check comes in. And because Bobby's a writer and my company owns the rights to the song, that means every time some white girl buys a copy of that single, she put money into my pockets. Our pockets. White boys out there touring around, they didn't even know they working for us.
He has this beautiful line. He was like, you know who makes more money than the writer of a song 94 on the R&B charts or the black charts? The writer of a song on number 1 on the regular pop charts. And it was like such a thought out piece. It's so great. There's you really see the friendship between them and how honest and true it is. And like they fight like friends. There's this security guard, Kareem, who really could catch these hands. But with him being as annoying as he is, Kareem, you get some really great moments of Jim Brown like, hey, like, listen, I will fight you in these streets.
Get your motherfucking hands off
I
me.
don't think so. Our job here is to protect the brother minister.
Listen, I don't need your protection, brother.
Well, now that that's settled, away you go.
Negro, I will leave when I'm...
You best think long and hard before you wag that tongue at me.
Do not mess with me, and it just adds more color to his character. Jim Brown talks about becoming a movie star. You also see, like, there's this conversation about how Sam Cooke, like, what freedom is, and Jim Brown is like, freedom is financial freedom.
I just don't think you should begrudge Sam for being about his business. He's got to be. I mean, if the goal is for us to be free, to really be free,
then you know it is.
Then the key is economic freedom. And no one's more economically free than Sam. Shit, technically he's the only one of us not waiting on a paycheck from a white man.
Like, you need financial freedom to be free. Like, that's one of the main pillars of our society. And Sam is the only one who's not collecting a check from a white man. And then Malcolm was like, I'm not collecting a check from a white man. And Jim Brown says,
You don't have a job, Negro.
It's funny. And then there's this other conversation that is so deep about JFK's assassination, because obviously Malcolm X said some stuff that wasn't great about JFK, and they were like, but JFK was like kind of for the people, not for the people necessarily, not for the black people, because obviously that's not what he was, but they were like, he's like Sam Cooke is like,
Kennedy getting assassinated is just another one of those white devils getting what they deserve. Well, I like JFK, man. My mama cried when he died.
Mine did too.
How do you think it made me feel to have her see my friend on TV talking about good riddance?
And you kind of see like the person of Malcolm X rather than the icon and the figure.
You used to be such a fun cat. Now you acting in private the way you are on camera.
Sam, I was always this person.
Maybe, but you were also always so much more.
And the thing about that, the thing that I like this is that this could have easily taken these, not godlike, because they're not gods, but these heroes of black culture and black history, and just played up to the stereotypes that they already are and that they already know for. But they don't. They strip them down as actual humans and people, and that's why I think that having Jim Brown alive, and maybe if Regina King was able to talk to him about that time, having Malcolm X's autobiography, like those things would be so important, because it just made them feel like real people rather than these histories and these people of pillar in the black community at that time, where like in history, it's like as if you got the real them, and the fact that you have the four of them interacting and seeing their friendship, it just makes it more entertaining and it humanizes them so much more, because they're all literally friends. It's like it humanizes them. And if these arguments were to happen, like these discussions about the opposite sides of the extreme of like when are you providing for the people? How are you helping the people? How are you helping the culture? All these different conversations that are so important to have and still important today to have, but they had, if they were like between just iconic figures who had no connection to each other, it wouldn't mean as much as opposed to the way it was told. Friends who are literally trying to help each other out.
Brother, you could move mountains without lifting a finger. Listen, if I give you a hard time, it's only because I think so highly of you. You brothers, you all are a bright and shining future.
Who are trying to move each other forward. And Malcolm X even says that. He's like, Sam, the reason why I'm so upset with you is because I see what you can do. You can move mountains with just your words. And for you to be pandering to these white people instead of making music that actually moves the culture forward and supports the people who are like you, it hurts me, because I see the potential in you and I see what you can actually do. And then to that point, you get the counterpoint of where Sam is like, I'm doing what I have to do to make my check so that I can provide for my people, so that I can have black artists on my label who write songs, who are covered by the Rolling Stones, and then they can collect their royalty check. I'm doing what I have to do to make money for my people so that they can thrive and they survive. So it's kind of like serving the community in two separate ways, but not seeing eye to eye about how they serve the community. At the end of the time, you obviously have Cassius Clay coming out as Muhammad Ali. Well, Cassius X, but Muhammad Ali by the end of it. It's just really interesting to see. I think if any other actors were to play it, it wouldn't be as good, but it's really amazing to watch. Like, really, the plot was so good. It seamlessly weaved all these moments together. It humanized them. Straight off the jump, it humanized them into being people with that opening scene of each person at their, like, at a very low point. And then it opens the doors for so many conversations that should be had today, and it just kind of is a reflection of the fact that we're still having these conversations now within ourselves. The conversation of colorism, like, is like, so I was not expecting that, and it's just like, it was amazing because, like, Jim Brown is like, it's always you light-skinned ones that want to burn the world to the ground, like, but so that was really interesting. So that was what I have to say on plot. I don't want to give any big plot points away, but I just feel like you should really watch it because it's really, really amazing. Now, next we're going to talk about is setting. Obviously, it's set in Miami. I don't like Miami. I don't like Florida, but that's not the point. I think something that makes the movie so powerful is the stripped awayness of it. The same way that Malcolm and Marie, that Zendaya, again, I said, was starring in, is like shot in like one place. This one is basically shot in this hotel. Like, there are other pieces, there are other times where they're in other places and that they talk about. There's the opening scenes where they were all in different places, obviously not at the hotel. There's the ring, like the boxing ring that Muhammad Ali won in, and then you also see like these other pieces and snippets of like when they talk about things, like when they talk about Sam's Cooke's Boston performance and how moved Malcolm X's was there. You go there and you see that. But for the most part, it takes place in this one hotel with like a diner downstairs and like a liquor store across the street. And it makes it so much more powerful because it's not like just like the glitz and glam of Miami, like all these establishing shots, everything. No. It's so much more real. Again, adds humanity to these iconic figures with just the simple set of it all. And I really appreciate it. Still had some really beautiful and meaningful shots. But it just made it all the better for me. With that being said, those are the big points that I wanted to talk about. The casting was impeccable. Oh, the writing, which I'm not going to give it to a whole section. The writing was amazing. It was real. It was real dialogue, but it also felt natural to the characters. Especially, that's really hard because these are real people. It's not like characters that you're creating. These are real people that you're basing it on. Like, there's a point where Malcolm X is always talking in kind of this formal tone, and then there's this really amazing point when they're on the roof and they're playing hot potato with this man's camera, which I got anxiety about, because if anybody did that with my camera, we would be scrapping. And he kind of drops his honorifics, for lack of a better word.
Hey, Jimmy, what you pull your wig? Give me the damn camera. You lost your mind? How much this thing cost?
I think we done hit a nerve. Malcolm done dropped the affected speech and everything.
Yeah, that's right. Got more rep than all 1, 2, 3 of you clowns put together.
Oh, come on, man. Rep don't carry over from decade to decade.
And you get to like see it, and it's like it's so pure, and that from that point on you kind of he still has that formality to his tone even with his friends, but like you really feel it when like Sam talks about it later. He's like, why are you the person you are on TV? Why are you now being that person in private? Like, kind of a feel, which makes it really, really cool. And so that's why I really like the dialogue and the way it was delivered, because it felt very honest to the script, to the words, and to the person, the orator that is Malcolm X.
His friend, and that is why I am trying to give him a wake-up call. There is no more room for anyone. Not you, not me, not Jimmy, not Sam, no one to be standing on the fence anymore. Our people are literally dying in the streets every day. Black people are dying every day.
Now, that same thing can be said on someone who is on the opposite side, Muhammad Ali. It's very beautiful and strange because Muhammad Ali is very informal with how he speaks, braggadocious if one says, and they nailed it. They nailed it without using any direct quotes of Muhammad Ali necessarily. They nailed his speech, how he talks, how he is, and it was beautiful.
Told you he's ugly. You should see him up closer. Oh man, he's ugly.
Oh, you goddamn right.
I am 210.5 pounds of trouble, boy. And what they didn't know was when they weighed me in, a half pound of it wasn't even me.
Well, what was it, Cat?
It was a half pound of divine skill bestowed upon me from God up on high.
Motherfucker.
And it's also like really interesting because you have someone who's so formal and someone who's so informal being like kind of the besties of the clique, as you may say. So it's really interesting. And then again with Sam and Jim, they were very natural to the actual person.
I ain't no damn hero to them. No. You see, Malcolm, some white folks just cannot wait to pat themselves on the back for not being cruel to us. Like we should be singing hosannas just because they found the kindness in their hearts to almost treat us like real human beings. I mean, do you expect a dog to give you a medal for not kicking it that day?
They got souls, don't they? And every living thing with a soul can have that soul tapped into. I thought you'd know that.
You think just maybe your energy's misdirected, Sam, trying to tap into white people's souls?
No, I don't. If I win them over playing our music, I'm knocking down doors for everybody. You watch and see. It's not going to always be the pop charts over here, black music charts over there. One day it's going to be one chart with one music for all people.
Which I imagine couldn't have been easy. It must have taken so much research, but was well done.
And this feeling permeating the airs of late.
Anger?
Anxiety. Humidity.
And beautiful. And I'm really glad that I got to see this. Cause I always rate things with drinks here on Tipsy Movie Review. I am giving this a mint julep because it is a sweet southern drink. All of these men seem like real southern gentlemen. Not that they're all from the South, obviously, but there's just something real southern about it. Like Miami is the South technically, but it just feels more South when you go back to that time period than it does like now. And there's something just so sweet and simple about it. And you know how I feel about mint. I love mint, and a mint julep is one of my favorite drinks, and I think I really love and appreciate it because it just has the bare bones of something beautiful. It doesn't need a lot of razzle dazzle to it. So mint julep is what I'm rating this. I highly recommend you go see it. I don't want to put too much. I hope in editing I don't put too many clips.
Circus, Afro, circus, Afro, polka dot, Afro.
Because I really want you to go see it. I really want you to go give it a watch, as the internet mom would say. I want to make sure my faves eat.
So we're streaming.
With that being said, the only other thing I really want to praise about this movie is the trailer itself. The trailer gave nothing away. It is, again, like Malcolm and Marie, I think like there's so easy, there's such a wave of like people giving away the entire story in trailers, and this doesn't do that at all, and I really appreciate it. I really didn't, I went in like knowing, especially because you know what's going to happen. These people's lives are written out on the internet. You know what's going to happen. You know at some point that Cassius Clay is going to turn into Muhammad Ali. You know at some point Sam Cooke is going to write his iconic song and sing it. You know that these things are going to happen, but it's still surprising and beautiful in the way that they came about it with the trailer and the movie. So with that being said, that's where I'm going to cap it off. Thank you for watching, guys. I will be back. Don't worry. It's girlyummy.com. Stay tuned. That was the wrong order. Bye, internet friends.